Rappa is finally here, and she's continuing the Galaxy Ranger tradition of having an extremely interesting and fun kit, but also having terrible banner timing. Now, before we get into how she performed in my testing, Rappa just came out, so I am going to go over her kit and how she works, but feel free to skip ahead if you already know all of this. Rappa is our newest break character, and this time in the erudition path, and she primarily does her damage through enhanced basic attacks. To get her enhanced basic, we need to look at her ult. When Rappa uses her ult, she enters the seal form state, immediately gains an extra turn, and gains weakness break efficiency and bonus break effect, but more importantly, she gains 3 enhanced basics. You can see these under her portrait with the 3 dots. Her enhanced basics look super cool. As she enters this first person perspective, it's basically like you're playing Overwatch. And each basic attack has 3 hits. The first 2 hits are blast, and the third is full AoE. These basic attacks do not recover skill points, but they do ignore weakness element type and give her 20 energy back, just like normal basic attacks. Because of this, and how Rappa gets 3 enhanced basics from her ultimate, she's gonna very rarely use her basic and skill in combat, and unsurprisingly, both of these attacks have nothing special and are just generic damage scaling abilities. Now, you might have noticed that her enhanced basics don't actually have anything related to break damage. That's where her talent and her traces come in. For Rappa's talent, every time an enemy is weakness broken, she gains points of charge that can stack up to a max of 10. When Rappa launches the 3rd hit of her enhanced basic, it does additional break damage equal to 60% of her imaginary break to all enemies. This break multiplier, as well as the toughness reduction of this attack, will increase for each point of charge she has, and after this hit is dealt, all points of charge are lost. For her traces, A2 gives Rappa a bonus point of charge as well as 10 energy when an elite level or higher enemy is weakness broken. Her A4 makes it that her enhanced basic has its own instance of super break damage. So while she does love Harmony MC as a teammate, her kit now features just a normal break and multiply in her talent, as well as super break in this A4. And her A6 trace, when an enemy becomes weakness broken, it increases the break damage taken by 2%. Additionally, for every 100 attack over 2400 that Rappa has, it increases this multiplier by 1% up to a max additional increase of 8%. This does mean attack percent main stats are gonna be what you're looking for on Rappa, instead of just throwing random relics with lots of break and speed. And finally, her technique. Rappa hops on a hoverboard and actually starts zooming around, and when she touches an enemy, it counts as attacking it. When entering combat with this, it will deal 30 toughness damage to all enemies regardless of weakness type, and it will also do break damage equal to Rappa's imaginary break to all enemies and give Rappa 10 energy. It's a really useful technique, not only for Overworld, but you should be entering combat with every time you can. Now to get on to what I actually wanted to talk about. How does Rappa feel as a character, and how good has she been during my time testing her? Well, one thing I can be for certain, Rappa is a really fun character to play. Break characters, in my opinion, are always really fun to play, and Rappa is no different. Her animation for Enhanced Basic is honestly my favorite ability animation they've cooked in the game so far. The first person perspective is really cool, and I hope they do this more with characters in the future. But honestly, if the break playstyle doesn't excite you and her animations aren't that exciting either, she is really simple and honestly a little bit boring to play. You just get her ult and then spam her Enhanced Basics. You don't really have to think too much. Every time her turn comes around, you just mash her basic 3 times and move on. So yeah, she isn't the most complex character to pilot, so it really depends on how much you like break and how much you like her animations. In terms of strength, she is a pretty good character. I didn't go too wild experimenting with different teams, so I stuck with the super break core of Ranmei Harmony Trailblazer and then either Galaga or Ling Sha, and was comfortably able to clear all endgame content. MOC has an extremely break tailored buff at the moment, so I wouldn't take these results too seriously, but with Galaga and using a 4-star Lycone, being the one with Sunday on it, I was able to get a 2-cycle clear pretty easily, and she was pumping out pretty big numbers with her Enhanced Basics. When I slotted in Ling Sha and used Rappa's signature, it was a lot more trivial taking it to 0 cycles instead. But then again, this MOC is insanely break favored, so we can only wait and see for future ones. My guess is that she'll be perfectly fine, especially if there is Imaginary Week and more AoE heavy chambers. For Pure Fiction, Rappa was very good, but not as good as I imagined. I think Jade kind of ruined my view of erudition characters because she was completely made for Pure Fiction and kind of implanted this idea that erudition characters were just all Pure Fiction coded, but Rappa is definitely not that. She's still really good in Pure Fiction, and I was able to 40k the imaginary side, but it was a bit closer than I expected, and Ling Sharp was doing a lot of work. The first side was a bit rough because there was barely any imaginary week, and even with Ling Sharp doing good work, I was only able to get around 30k. I think what Rappa is missing to truly destroy Pure Fiction is advance forward, which is in her signature icon, but maybe some setup with Bronya could have some potential. Apocalyptic Shadow was similar to MOC, super easy on both sides. The chambers were once again pretty favored for AoE and there were break buffs, but it was still impressive clears on both sides. Still using a 4-star light cone and free-to-play friendly setups, I was able to get 3500 scores on both sides very easily. The only problem that I really had with Rappa after testing is she does struggle a bit more than other break characters at brute forcing. Her enhanced basics do ignore weakness element type, but most of the time it wasn't enough. There were some annoying times where she would do her enhanced basic, break some enemies but not break others, and then you would have to wait all the way until her next turn to fully break and kill the wave. The lack of advance forward in her kit without her signature light cone did make this extra annoying, as it can actually take some time for her to finally get her next turn. The lack of imaginary implant also means that she can't have Harmony MC helping out with breaking. It's fully dependent on what the stage is actually weak to, which sometimes can be nothing on your team. This was pretty much the only problem I really had with Rappa. She could brute force some stuff, but mostly it was a bit of a struggle when it wasn't an imaginary weak stage. Overall, I think Rappa is a good character that players will be satisfied with if you pull her. Her only weakness is easily fixed if you just have other teams that you can play instead when there is an imaginary weakness. I don't think she is broken by any means. I think she's just going to be a good character, which is super nice. It's nice to have that sometimes. One of the best things about her is, though, that she doesn't struggle in any game mode so far. She's very versatile, Pure Fiction, Apocalyptic Shadow, and MSC, she can do it all. The only people I wouldn't recommend pulling her are those who have Firefly or Boot Hill, or even both of them, and do like using them quite a lot, because she does share teammates with them, so you're not going to find many situations where you can actually play her, or you're going to have to give up those other break DPS. This could obviously change in the future if more break supports are added, which honestly seems pretty imminent at this point. Either way, if you are pulling Rappa, good luck with the pulls, and thanks for watching.